Biglaan.
Hey there, gorgeous. I was just thinking about our special friendship.
The notification sound from my phone cut through the quiet hum of my garage like a rusty blade. I wiped the transmission fluid off my hands with an old rag, expecting another spam message or maybe Linda asking me to pick up milk on the way home. Instead, I found myself staring at something that made my stomach drop straight through the concrete floor. My name was Aaron Mitchell, and I'd been fixing engines for 15 years. I understood how machines worked, how every part had its place, how when one component failed, the whole system could collapse. What I didn't understand was how my private photo, one I'd sent to my wife Linda during a playful moment last week, was now sitting in her group chat with 12 other people, complete with laughing emojis and comments I couldn't bring myself to read twice. "Oh my God, Linda, your husband is hilarious," wrote Monica, her best friend since college. "I can't believe you shared this, poor guy," added Jennifer from her yoga class. But the comment that made my hands shake wasn't from one of the women. Derek, Linda's personal trainer, had written, "Your wife shows me all your messages, buddy. Thanks for the entertainment." I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. The garage suddenly felt smaller, the familiar smell of motor oil and rust now suffocating. I'd built this space with my own hands when we bought the house 8 years ago. Every tool had its place, every project organized with military precision. It was my sanctuary, the one place where everything made sense. Not anymore. The group chat was still active. More comments poured in, each notification sounded like a hammer hitting my skull. I scrolled up and saw the timestamp. Linda had shared the photo 3 hours ago, right around lunchtime. 3 hours of strangers and acquaintances looking at something meant only for her. My phone buzzed with a direct message from Linda. "Aaron, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. My finger slipped when I was showing Monica something else. Please don't be mad." An accident. Right. I'd seen Linda navigate her phone like a concert pianist. She could text, scroll through Instagram, and order coffee simultaneously without missing a beat. But somehow she'd accidentally shared my most private moment with her entire social circle. I typed back, "We'll talk when you get home." Her response came immediately. "It's really not that big of a deal. Everyone thinks you're sweet. Monica said you looked cute." Cute. Like a lost puppy or a child's drawing stuck to a refrigerator. The garage door creaked as I walked to my workbench. I'd been restoring a 1967 Mustang for the past 6 months, a side project that was supposed to fund our vacation to Colorado. The car sat there, half-painted, waiting for me to finish what I'd started, just like everything else in my life, apparently. My phone rang. Frank's name appeared on the screen, my oldest friend and the owner of Murphy's Bar downtown. I answered on the second ring. "Hey, Aaron, you might want to sit down for this. I'm already having a great day, Frank. What's up?" My bartender's wife is in Linda's yoga class. She just called me, laughing about some photo going around. Said everyone's talking about it at the gym, the coffee shop, even the grocery store. This thing's spreading faster than gossip at a church picnic. I closed my eyes and leaned against the workbench. "How bad is it?" "Bad enough that Mrs. Patterson from your street posted about it in the neighborhood Facebook group. Something about inappropriate content being shared without consent. She didn't mention names, but everyone knows she's talking about you and Linda. Mrs. Patterson, the 70-year-old busybody who knew everyone's business before they did. If she was posting about it, the whole neighborhood would know by dinner time." "Aaron, you still there?" "Yeah, I'm here." "Look, I know Linda. She's not malicious, just thoughtless sometimes. But that trainer of hers, Derek, that guy's bad news. I've seen him at the bar, bragging about his clients, showing off photos they send him. Real piece of work." Derek. I'd met him exactly once when I picked Linda up from the gym after her car broke down. Tall, tan, with teeth so white they could guide ships to shore. He'd shaken my hand with the grip of someone trying to prove something, calling me buddy, like we were old friends. I gotta go, Frank. Linda's pulling into the driveway. Aaron, wait. Don't do anything stupid, okay? Think this through. I hung up and watched through the garage window as Linda parked her silver Honda next to my pickup truck. She sat in the car for a moment, probably rehearsing her apology. When she finally got out, she moved slowly, like someone approaching a dangerous animal. She appeared in the garage doorway wearing her gym clothes, designer leggings and a sports bra that cost more than my work boots. 6 months ago, she'd gotten promoted to marketing director at her tech company, and suddenly everything about her had to be upgraded. New clothes, new hairstyle, new gym membership, new attitude. Aaron, honey, I'm so sorry. It really was an accident. I turned to face her, wiping my hands on the rag again. An accident? Yes. I was showing Monica the funny meme you sent me earlier, and I must have clicked the wrong thing. You know how confusing these group chats can be. The meme I sent you was yesterday, Linda. The photo you shared was from last week. Her face flushed slightly, but she maintained eye contact. I was scrolling through our messages, looking for the meme, and I guess... Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. I've been married to you for 10 years. I know when you're lying. I'm not lying. Why would I deliberately embarrass you like that? You tell me. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. She crossed her arms, and I saw a flash of the old Linda, the woman I'd fallen in love with in college, before the promotion, before the gym, before Derek. But it disappeared as quickly as it came. Fine. Maybe I was showing Monica how sweet you can be. Maybe I wanted her to see that my husband still sends me romantic messages. Is that such a crime? Romantic messages? Linda, it was a private photo. There's a difference between sharing a text and sharing that. Everyone thought it was cute. Monica said, I don't care what Monica said. I care that my wife shared something private with a dozen strangers. They're not strangers. They're my friends. Derek's your friend now? The question hung in the air like smoke from a backyard fire. Linda's expression shifted, something defensive and guilty crossing her features. Derek's my trainer. He's in the group chat because he sends us workout tips and motivation. And he needed to see my photo for motivation? It wasn't like that, Aaron. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. I walked to my toolbox and began organizing wrenches that were already perfectly organized. It was either that or throw something. How long have you been showing Derek our private messages? I haven't been. He said you show him all my messages, Linda. All of them. She was quiet for a long moment. When I looked up, she was staring at her phone, probably checking the group chat for new comments. Sometimes I share funny things you say. Derek thinks you're hilarious. Hilarious. In a good way. He says you're like a character from a sitcom. A character from a sitcom. The bumbling husband, good for a laugh but not much else. I set down the wrench and turned to face her fully. Linda, do you understand what you've done? I made a mistake. I said I was sorry. You humiliated me in front of your friends, your trainer, and apparently half the neighborhood. Mrs. Patterson is posting about it on Facebook. Her eyes widened slightly. Mrs. Patterson? Frank called me. This thing is spreading all over town. My wife turned me into a joke, and you want me to just shrug it off because it was an accident. What do you want me to do, Aaron? I can't take it back. You could start by deleting it from the group chat. I already did. As soon as I realized what happened, I deleted it. Screenshots, Linda. Ever hear of screenshots? Her face went pale. In the age of social media, nothing ever really disappeared. Every embarrassing moment lived forever in someone's camera roll, ready to resurface at the worst possible time. I didn't think about that. No, you didn't think. That's the problem. I walked past her toward the house, but she grabbed my arm. Erin, please. I really am sorry. I know I messed up, but we can get through this. In a week, everyone will forget about it. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. She was beautiful. I'd always thought so. But standing there in her expensive workout clothes, pleading with me to forgive her latest thoughtless act, she looked like a stranger. Will Derek forget about it? She dropped her hand. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Forget I asked. I went into the house, leaving her standing in the garage. My phone was buzzing constantly now. Texts, notifications, missed calls. I turned it off and sat at the kitchen table, staring out the window at our backyard. We'd planted those trees together our second year in the house. Linda had insisted on the expensive Japanese maples, even though I'd argued they wouldn't survive the harsh winters. But they'd grown strong and beautiful, their red leaves brilliant in the autumn sun. Maybe some things were worth the extra investment. Maybe some things weren't. Linda came in a few minutes later and sat across from me. She'd changed into regular clothes, jeans and a sweater that made her look more like the woman I'd married. Erin, talk to me, please. What do you want me to say? That you forgive me. That we can move past this. Can we? Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like this is just the latest in a long line of things you've done without thinking about how they'd affect me. That's not fair. Isn't it? The promotion party where you introduced me as just a mechanic to your new boss. The dinner where you spent 2 hours talking about Derek's amazing workout programs. The vacation you planned without asking me, then canceled when Derek invited you to that fitness conference. Those were different situations. Were they? Because they all have the same thing in common. You do whatever you want, whenever you want, and then act surprised when I'm not thrilled about it. She was quiet for a moment, picking at her manicured nails. I never meant to hurt you. But you did hurt me, Linda. And the worst part is, I don't think you care. Of course I care. You're my husband. Am I? Because lately, I feel more like an inconvenience you keep around to pay half the mortgage. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. That's not true, and you know it. Do I? When's the last time we had dinner together without you checking your phone? When's the last time we talked about something other than your job or your gym or your friends? We're talking now. We're fighting now. There's a difference. She walked to the window and stood with her back to me. What do you want from me, Erin? I want my wife back. The woman who used to laugh at my jokes instead of sharing them with strangers. The woman who cared about what I thought, what I felt. I do care. Then why did you share that photo? She turned around, and for the first time since she'd come home, she looked genuinely upset. Because I wanted them to know that my husband still finds me attractive. Because Monica's always bragging about how romantic her boyfriend is, and Jennifer's husband sends her flowers every week, and I wanted to show them that we still have something special. So you shared my private photo to win some kind of competition with your friends? It wasn't a competition. It was... I don't know. I just wanted them to see that we're happy. Are we happy, Linda? The question surprised both of us. She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see her trying to formulate an answer that would fix everything, make it all okay. We were, she said finally. Yeah, I said. We were. My phone, still turned off, sat silent on the table between us. But I knew that when I turned it back on, there would be dozens of messages, missed calls, notifications. The whole town would be talking about Aaron Mitchell, the poor guy whose wife shared his private photo with half the county. Linda sat back down and reached across the table for my hand. I let her take it, but I didn't squeeze back. What happens now? She asked. I don't know. Are you going to leave me? I don't know that either. We sat in silence as the sun set behind the Japanese maples, their red leaves glowing like embers in the fading light. Somewhere in town, people were probably still laughing about my photo, sharing it with friends, adding their own commentary. My private moment had become public entertainment, and there was nothing I could do to take it back. But maybe there were other things I could do. Maybe it was time to stop being the punchline and start writing my own jokes. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Linda had already left for work, or the gym, or wherever she went these days to avoid dealing with the consequences of her actions. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through the digital wreckage of my reputation. Most of the messages were from friends and coworkers, ranging from genuine concern to barely concealed amusement. My brother Tom had texted, "Dude, what the hell happened?" My boss at the garage, Pete, wrote, "Take the day off if you need to. This will blow over." But it was the message from my 15-year-old daughter Judy that made my chest tighten. "Dad, everyone at school is talking about it. I'm so embarrassed. Why did Mom do this to us?" Judy lived with her mother, my ex-wife Rachel, about 20 minutes across town. We'd divorced when Judy was 7, and despite the usual complications, we'd managed to co-parent reasonably well. Rachel and Linda had never been friends, but they were civil for Judy's sake. I called Judy back, but it went straight to voicemail. Probably at school, dealing with classmates who'd seen the photo through their parents' social media accounts. High school was brutal enough without your stepmother turning your father into a meme. My phone rang. Rachel's name appeared on the screen. "Aaron, what the hell is going on?" "Good morning to you too, Rachel." "Don't good morning me. Judy came home crying yesterday because some kid at school showed her a photo of you that Linda posted online. Please tell me this isn't as bad as it sounds." I rubbed my temples. "It's probably worse." Jesus, Aaron, what was Linda thinking? According to her, she wasn't thinking at all. It was an accident. Bullshit. I've seen Linda operate her phone. She could probably hack the Pentagon with that thing. Despite everything, I almost smiled. Rachel had always been direct, sometimes brutally so. It was one of the reasons our marriage hadn't worked, but it was also one of the reasons I still respected her. "Look, I'm dealing with it, okay? Is Judy all right?" "She's mortified and angry. She keeps asking why Linda would do something like this, and honestly, I don't have a good answer." "Neither do I. Aaron, you need to fix this. Not just for you, but for Judy. She loves you, and she doesn't deserve to be embarrassed at school because of Linda's stupidity." "I know. I'm working on it." "What does that mean?" "I'm not sure yet." Rachel was quiet for a moment. "Do you want me to talk to Linda?" "No, definitely not. That would just make things worse." "Probably, but it might also make me feel better." After I hung up, I sat in the silence of my kitchen, thinking about the chain reaction Linda had started. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about Judy, about Rachel, about everyone who got pulled into the blast radius of Linda's thoughtlessness. I turned my phone back on and opened the neighborhood Facebook group that Mrs. Patterson had mentioned. Sure enough, there was her post from yesterday afternoon. "I'm deeply concerned about the inappropriate content being shared in our community. As neighbors, we should respect each other's privacy and dignity. I won't mention names, but I hope the people involved will consider the impact of their actions on their family and our neighborhood's reputation." The comments section was a battlefield. Some people agreed with Mrs. Patterson, others thought she was being overdramatic, and a few were clearly fishing for more details about what had happened. I recognized most of the names. These were people I saw at the grocery store, the gas station, the school pickup line when Judy was younger. My phone buzzed with a text from Frank. "You coming in today? Pete called looking for you." I'd forgotten about work entirely. I texted back, "On my way." The garage where I worked was a small operation, just Pete, myself, and 2 other mechanics. We specialized in foreign cars, mostly German and Japanese models, that the dealership couldn't or wouldn't handle. It was honest work, and I was good at it. But sitting in my driveway, looking at the building where I'd spent the last 8 years, I realized how small my world had become. Home, work, Frank's bar, repeat. Linda's world kept expanding. New job, new friends, new experiences, while mine had gradually shrunk to fit around hers. I walked into the garage to find Pete hunched over the engine of a BMW, cursing at a stubborn bolt. He looked up when he heard my footsteps. There he is, the famous Aaron Mitchell. Very funny, Pete. I'm not trying to be funny. My wife showed me that Facebook post this morning. Sounds like you're having some domestic troubles. Pete was in his 60s, had been married to the same woman for 40 years, and had seen every kind of relationship drama imaginable. His advice was usually worth hearing, even when I didn't want to hear it. Linda shared something she shouldn't have. It'll blow over. Will it? Because from what I hear, it's all over town. My neighbor's kid goes to school with your daughter. Said the whole place was buzzing about it yesterday. I picked up a wrench and started working on an oil change, focusing on the familiar routine of draining, replacing, refilling. Simple, mechanical, predictable. Pete, can I ask you something? Shoot. If your wife embarrassed you in front of the whole town, what would you do? He straightened up and wiped his hands on his coveralls. Depends. Was it an accident or on purpose? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Well, here's what I learned in 40 years of marriage. Accidents happen once. Patterns happen repeatedly. Which one is this? I thought about Linda's behavior over the past few months. The casual dismissals, the public slights, the way she'd started treating me like a supporting character in her own story. Pattern, I said. Then you've got a bigger problem than one embarrassing photo. We worked in comfortable silence for a while, the familiar sounds of the garage providing a temporary escape from my thoughts. But around lunchtime, my phone started buzzing again. The first call was from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message. Hi, this is Jennifer Walsh from Channel 7 News. We're doing a story about privacy in the digital age, and we'd love to get your perspective on recent events. Please call me back at... I deleted the message and blocked the number. The local news wanted to interview me about my wife's social media disaster. Perfect. The second call was from Linda. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Aaron, thank God. Are you okay? I'm at work, Linda. What do you want? I just got a call from some reporter asking about our situation. I hung up on her, but Aaron, this is getting out of hand. Now it's getting out of hand? Yesterday it was no big deal. I know, I was wrong. I'm trying to fix this. How exactly are you trying to fix this? I called everyone in the group chat and asked them to delete any screenshots. Most of them said they already did. Most of them. Monica and Jennifer promised they deleted everything. The others, I'm still working on it. What about Derek? There was a pause. What about him? Did you ask him to delete it? Aaron, I don't think Derek even saw it. He doesn't check the group chat that often. I almost laughed. Linda, he commented on it. Remember? Your wife shows me all your messages, buddy. Thanks for the entertainment. That was just Derek being Derek. He was joking. Was he? Because it sounded like he was telling the truth. Aaron, you're being paranoid. Am I? Tell me honestly, how many of our private conversations have you shared with Derek? I don't share our conversations with Derek, but you share my messages with him. Sometimes I show him funny things you say. He thinks you're clever. Clever like a pet that does tricks? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Linda? Because from where I'm sitting it sounds like you and Derek have been laughing at me for months. We haven't been laughing at you. Derek actually likes you. He says, you seem like a good guy. He's never met me. He met you that time you picked me up from the gym. For 5 minutes. And now he thinks he knows me well enough to judge my character based on private messages my wife shows him without my permission. Linda was quiet for a moment. In the background, I could hear the sounds of her office. Keyboards clicking, phones ringing, the general buzz of people being productive. Aaron, I think you're overreacting. Am I? Let me ask you something, Linda. If I took screenshots of your private messages and shared them with my friends at the bar, how would you feel? That's different. How is it different? Because you wouldn't do that. You're right. I wouldn't. Because I respect you enough to keep our private conversations private. I respect you too. Do you? Because sharing my photo with your friends and your trainer doesn't feel very respectful. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line, probably trying to formulate an argument that would make this all my fault somehow. Aaron, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. What else do you want me to say? I want you to understand why I'm upset. I want you to see that this isn't just about one photo. It's about how you've been treating me for months. How have I been treating you? Like I'm invisible. Like I'm just there to pay bills and mow the lawn while you live your real life with your real friends. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you asked about my day? When's the last time we did something together that didn't involve your work friends or your gym friends or your trainer? We went to dinner last weekend with Monica and her boyfriend, and you spent the entire night talking about Derek's new workout program. I was making conversation. You were ignoring your husband to talk about another man. Derek's not another man. He's my trainer, who you apparently share my private messages with. We were going in circles and I was tired of it. In the background of the garage, I could hear Pete and the other guys working, living their normal lives while mine fell apart one phone call at a time. Linda, I have to get back to work. Aaron, wait. Can we talk about this tonight? Really talk? Sure. But first, I want you to do something for me. What? I want you to call Derek and ask him to delete that photo. Aaron, if he's really just your trainer, if this really was just an innocent mistake, then asking him to delete it shouldn't be a problem. Fine, I'll call him. Good. And Linda, I want to be there when you call him. Why? Because I want to hear what he says. I want to see how he reacts when you ask him to delete a photo of your husband. Aaron, that's ridiculous. Is it? Because if Derek is really just your trainer, if he really doesn't think about our private messages, then he should be happy to delete it and apologize for his comment. Linda was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Linda? I'm here. Fine. We'll call him together tonight. Good. I'll see you at home. I hung up and went back to work, but my mind was racing. Something about Linda's reluctance to involve Derek directly told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't just about a shared photo, it was about boundaries that had been crossed, trust that had been broken, and a relationship that had been slowly poisoned by secrets and lies. But maybe it wasn't too late to do something about it. Maybe it was time to stop being the victim and start being the protagonist of my own story. Linda came home that evening carrying takeout from the Thai place downtown, an obvious peace offering. She set the containers on the kitchen table and gave me a tentative smile. I got your favorite, pad Thai with extra peanuts. I looked at the food, then at her. Did you call Derek? Her smile faltered. I thought we could eat first, maybe talk about... Linda, did you call Derek? She sat down heavily in her chair. I tried calling him this afternoon, but he didn't answer. I left a message asking him to call me back. What kind of message? Just that I needed to talk to him about something important. I opened one of the containers and started eating, more out of habit than hunger. The food tasted like cardboard, but it gave me something to do with my hands. Did he call you back? Not yet. But Aaron, I've been thinking about what you said and maybe you're right. Maybe I have been sharing too much with Derek. Maybe? Okay. I have been. But it wasn't malicious. I don't know. It felt good to have someone to talk to about us. You can talk to me about us. Can I? Because every time I try to tell you about my day or my friends or what's happening at work, you just grunt and change the subject. I set down my fork. That's not true. Isn't it? Last week I tried to tell you about the promotion opportunity in the Seattle office, and you said that's nice without even looking up from your newspaper. Because you didn't ask what I thought about it. You just announced it like it was already decided. I was excited. I wanted to share good news with my husband. You wanted to tell me you were thinking about moving across the country. There's a difference between sharing news and including me in decisions. Linda picked at her food, not really eating. I wasn't seriously considering Seattle. I just wanted to talk about the possibility. With me or with Derek? What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm wondering who you really talk to about important things, your husband or your trainer. Before she could answer, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen, and I saw her face change. It's Derek. Answer it. Put it on speaker. Aaron. Put it on speaker, Linda. She swiped to answer and tapped the speaker button. Derek's voice filled our kitchen, confident and casual. Hey, gorgeous. Got your message. What's so important? I watched Linda's face flush at the word gorgeous. She glanced at me nervously. Hi, Derek. Aaron's here with me, and we need to talk to you about something. There was a pause. Oh, hey, Aaron. How's it going, buddy? It's going great, Derek. Thanks for asking. Linda shot me a warning look, but I ignored it. So what's up? Derek continued. Linda, you sounded stressed in your message. Well, it's about that photo I shared in the group chat yesterday. The one of Aaron. Oh, that. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Your husband's got a sense of humor. Actually, Derek, that photo was shared by mistake. It was private, and I shouldn't have put it in the group chat. Okay, so? So, I'm asking everyone to delete it, and any screenshots they might have taken. Another pause, longer this time. Linda, are you serious right now? Yes, I'm serious. It was a private photo, and sharing it was wrong. But you shared it. Nobody forced you to. I leaned forward. Derek, this is Aaron. I'd appreciate it if you'd delete the photo. Aaron, buddy, I get that you're embarrassed, but it's not like it was anything scandalous. You were just being goofy for your wife. It was actually kind of sweet. Sweet or not, it was private. I'm asking you to delete it. Look, I already deleted it from the chat when Linda took it down. I don't save that kind of stuff. What about screenshots? I don't screenshot random photos, man. I've got better things to do. Linda looked relieved, but something in Derek's tone bothered me. Too smooth, too rehearsed. Derek, can I ask you something? Sure, buddy, shoot. You said Linda shows you all my messages. What did you mean by that? Oh, that. I was just joking around. Linda sometimes shares funny stuff, you say. Nothing serious. What kind of funny stuff? I don't know, man. Just, husband stuff. Husband stuff? Linda was shaking her head at me, trying to get me to drop it, but I was just getting started. Derek, give me an example of this husband stuff Linda shares with you. Aaron, come on. This is weird. What's weird about it? You said Linda shows you my messages. I'm curious what you find so entertaining about them. I didn't say entertaining. Actually, you did. Yesterday, in the group chat. You said, thanks for the entertainment. Derek was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice had lost some of its casual confidence. Look, Aaron, I think you're making a big deal out of nothing. Linda and I are friends. She talks to me about her life, including you. It's not like we're plotting behind your back or anything. What do you two talk about? Just stuff. Work, fitness, life, normal friend stuff. Do you talk about your other clients' husbands? What? Linda's not your only client, right? Do you discuss their personal lives too? Do their husbands send them funny messages that you get to see? That's different. How is it different? Because Linda and I have a special friendship. The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Linda's face went white, and I felt something cold and sharp settle in my stomach. A special friendship, I repeated. I didn't mean... Look, Linda's a great client and a good friend. That's all I meant. Derek, Linda said quickly, I think we should— No, Linda. Let Derek explain what makes your friendship so special. Aaron, buddy, I think you're misunderstanding. Am I? Because it sounds like you and my wife have some kind of relationship that goes beyond trainer and client. We're friends. There's nothing wrong with being friends. You're right, there's nothing wrong with being friends, but there is something wrong with sharing private messages between spouses without permission. There's something wrong with calling someone's wife gorgeous when her husband is listening, and there's definitely something wrong with having a special friendship with a married woman. Aaron, you're way out of line here. Am I? Or are you? Linda reached for the phone, probably to end the call, but I held up my hand to stop her. Derek, let me ask you one more question. What? How long have you and Linda been having this special friendship? We've been friends for months, man, since she started training with me. And in all those months of friendship, how many times have you met her husband? How many times have you made an effort to include me in this friendship? That's not how it works. How what works? Friendships. I'm friends with Linda, not with you. But you know all about me, don't you? You've seen my private messages. You know what I say, what I think, how I joke around with my wife. You know me pretty well for someone who's never actually spent time with me. Linda shares things because she cares about you. Does she? Or does she share things because you ask her to? I don't ask her to share anything, but you enjoy it when she does. Look, Aaron, I think this conversation has gone far enough. I think you're right. But before you hang up, I want to make something clear. What's that? My wife and I are going to work through our problems, but your special friendship with her is over. You can't tell Linda who she can be friends with. You're right, I can't. But I can tell you that if you continue to insert yourself into my marriage, we're going to have a problem. Is that a threat? It's a promise. The line went quiet for a moment. When Derek spoke again, his voice was harder, less friendly. Linda, are you going to let him talk to me like this? I looked at my wife, waiting to see whose side she would choose. She stared at the phone for what felt like an eternity, then looked at me. Derek, I think Aaron's right. Maybe we should take a break from the friendship thing. Are you serious right now? I'm serious. I need to focus on my marriage. Linda, this is crazy. Your husband is being controlling and jealous and you're just going along with it? My husband is being protective of our relationship. There's a difference. Fine, whatever. But don't come crying to me when you realize what a mistake this is. The line went quiet. Derek had hung up. Linda and I sat in silence, staring at her phone. The Thai food was getting cold, but neither of us seemed interested in eating. Well, I said finally. That was enlightening. Aaron, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how it looked from the outside. How what looked? The friendship with Derek, the messages, all of it. Linda, he called you gorgeous while I was sitting right here. He talked about your special friendship like it was something romantic. Are you really going to tell me you didn't know how that sounded? She was quiet for a moment, picking at her food. Maybe I did know. Maybe I liked it. Liked what? Having someone think I was interesting. Having someone want to hear about my day, my thoughts, my feelings. I want to hear about those things. Do you? Because most of the time when I try to talk to you, you're distracted or tired or just not really present. I thought about that, trying to remember recent conversations we'd had. She wasn't entirely wrong. I had been distracted lately, tired from work, focused on my own problems. You're right, I haven't been the best listener lately. And Derek was. He made me feel heard, appreciated. Is that all he made you feel? She looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes that made my chest tighten. I don't know, she said quietly. Linda. I don't know, Aaron. Maybe there were feelings there. Maybe I enjoyed the attention more than I should have. Are you having an affair? No, God, no. We never did anything physical. But you thought about it. She didn't answer, which was answer enough. I stood up from the table and walked to the window. Outside, the Japanese maples were barely visible in the darkness, but I could see their silhouettes against the streetlights. How long? I asked. How long what? How long have you been thinking about Derek that way? Aaron, please, it doesn't matter. It matters to me. She sighed. A few weeks, maybe a month. And you thought sharing my private messages with him was appropriate. I thought it would help him understand you better. Understand us. Or maybe you thought it would make him feel closer to you, like he was part of our relationship. Maybe, I don't know. I wasn't thinking clearly. I turned back to face her. Linda, do you want to be married to me? Of course I do. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been auditioning for a replacement. That's not what I was doing. Then what were you doing? I was feeling lonely, and Derek made me feel less lonely. You have a husband, Linda. If you were feeling lonely, you should have talked to me. I tried, but you're always working or watching TV or doing something in the garage. When was the last time we had a real conversation? When was the last time you asked me how I was feeling? She was right, and we both knew it. I had been distant, distracted, taking our marriage for granted. But that didn't excuse what she'd done. You're right, I said. I haven't been the husband you needed, but that doesn't justify sharing our private moments with another man. I know, you're right, I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you just sorry you got caught? I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I violated your privacy. And I'm sorry I let my friendship with Derek become something inappropriate. I sat back down at the table. The food was definitely cold now, but neither of us seemed to care. What happens now? I asked. I don't know. What do you want to happen? I want to trust my wife again, but I don't know how to do that. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. Will you? Even if it means changing gyms? Even if it means finding a new trainer? She hesitated for just a moment, but it was long enough for me to notice. Yes, she said finally. If that's what it takes. It's what it takes. Okay. I'll start looking for a new gym tomorrow. We sat in silence for a while, both lost in our own thoughts. The kitchen felt different somehow, like the conversation with Derek had changed the fundamental nature of our space. Nothing looked different, but everything felt different. Aaron? Yeah? Do you think we can get through this? I looked at my wife, really looked at her. She was still beautiful, still the woman I'd fallen in love with 10 years ago. But she was also someone who had betrayed my trust, shared my private moments with another man, and developed feelings for someone else. I don't know, I said honestly. But I'm willing to try if you are. I am. I really am. Then we'll try. But as I said the words, I realized that trying wasn't going to be enough. Trust, once broken, didn't just heal itself. It had to be rebuilt, brick by brick, conversation by conversation, choice by choice. And I wasn't sure either of us knew how to do that. 3 days later, I was under the hood of a Mercedes when Pete called me over to his office. He was holding his phone with a strange expression on his face. Aaron, you need to see this. He handed me the phone, and I found myself looking at a Facebook post from Monica, Linda's best friend. The post was a photo of Monica and Linda at some upscale restaurant downtown, both of them laughing and holding cocktails. The caption read, "Girls' night out. Sometimes you need to remind your bestie that she deserves better than settling for less. Life's too short for boring relationships." Girls' night know you're worth upgrade your life. When was this posted? I asked. 20 minutes ago. My wife saw it and called me. Thought you should know. I stared at the photo, noting the timestamp. Yesterday evening, around 8 o'clock. The same time Linda had told me she was working late at the office. Pete, can I borrow your computer? Sure. Everything okay? I'm about to find out. I logged into my Facebook account and searched for Monica's profile. Her posts were public, which made sense for someone who seemed to live for social media attention. I scrolled back through the past few weeks, looking for anything that might give me insight into what Linda had been telling her friends about our marriage. What I found made my stomach turn. 2 weeks ago. Lunch with my girl Linda. She's finally realizing she deserves someone who appreciates her ambition and drive. So proud of her for putting herself first. Boss lady growth mindset. 3 weeks ago. Some people are content with mediocrity, but not my bestie. She's leveling up in every area of her life. Career, fitness, mindset, everything. Inspiration level up. A month ago. Coffee date with Linda. Love watching her transform into the confident, successful woman she was always meant to be. Some people grow together, others grow apart. Personal growth evolution. Each post felt like a knife between my ribs. Linda hadn't just been sharing my private messages with Derek. She'd been sharing our marital problems with Monica, who had apparently appointed herself as Linda's life coach and cheerleader for ending our marriage. I kept scrolling, looking for more evidence. What I found was worse than I'd expected. 6 weeks ago, Monica had posted a group photo from what looked like a bar or club. Linda was in the center, surrounded by Monica and several other women I didn't recognize, but in the background, clearly visible, was Derek. He had his arm around one of the other women, but his eyes were fixed on Linda. The caption read, "Squad night out, love introducing my girls to new friends. Derek, you're officially part of the crew now. Squad goals, new friends, good vibes." I clicked on the photo to see who was tagged. Linda, Monica, Jennifer from yoga class, and Derek. The location tag showed Murphy's Bar, Frank's place. My phone was buzzing. Text message from Linda. "Working late again tonight, don't wait up, love you." I looked at the timestamp on Monica's post again. They were at that restaurant right now having girls' night, while Linda was supposedly at work. I handed Pete his phone back and grabbed my keys. "Where are you going?" Pete asked. "To get some answers." The restaurant was downtown, about 15 minutes from the garage. It was one of those trendy places with exposed brick walls and craft cocktails that cost more than I spent on lunch in a week. Through the large windows, I could see Linda and Monica at a table near the bar, deep in conversation. I parked across the street and watched them for a few minutes. Linda was animated, gesturing with her hands, clearly upset about something. Monica was leaning forward, nodding sympathetically, occasionally reaching across the table to pat Linda's arm. My phone buzzed with another text from Linda. "This project is taking forever. Might be here until midnight." I got out of my car and walked into the restaurant. The hostess smiled at me. "Table for one?" "Actually, I see my wife over there." "Thanks." I walked over to Linda and Monica's table. Linda looked up and saw me, her face going white. "Aaron! What are you doing here?" "I was in the neighborhood and saw you through the window. Thought I'd say hello." Monica looked back and forth between us, clearly sensing the tension. "Aaron, how nice to see you. Linda was just telling me about the work project that's keeping her so busy." "Were you? That's interesting because she just texted me that she was at the office." Linda's face flushed. "I was at the office. We just came here for a quick bite before I go back." "At 9:30 at night?" "We're very dedicated," Monica said, but her smile looked forced. I pulled out a chair and sat down. "Mind if I join you? I'd love to hear about this project Linda's been working on." "Aaron?" Linda said quietly. "Maybe we should—" "No, please, continue your conversation. Don't let me interrupt." Monica was fidgeting with her cocktail napkin, clearly uncomfortable. "Actually, I should probably get going. Early day tomorrow." "Don't leave on my account, Monica. I'm enjoying getting caught up on Linda's work life." "Aaron, stop," Linda said. "Stop what? I'm just trying to understand why my wife has been lying to me about working late when she's actually having dinner with her friend." Monica stood up abruptly. I'm going to let you two work this out. Linda, call me later. She grabbed her purse and practically fled the restaurant, leaving Linda and me alone at the table. Well, I said, that was awkward. Aaron, I can explain. I'm sure you can. You're very creative when it comes to explanations. Linda looked around the restaurant, probably hoping no one was watching our drama unfold. Can we please not do this here? Do what? Have an honest conversation? I thought that's what you wanted. I do want that, but not in public. You seem to like doing things in public lately, sharing photos, having girls' nights, working on mysterious projects that require cocktails and restaurant lighting. I lied about working late, okay? I'm sorry. Monica wanted to have dinner, and I thought you'd be upset if you knew I was going out instead of coming home. Why would I be upset about you having dinner with a friend? Because you've been so suspicious lately. Ever since the photo thing, you question everything I do. I question things because you keep lying to me, Linda. If you'd told me you were having dinner with Monica, I would have said have fun. But instead, you chose to lie and say you were working late. She stared at her wine glass, not meeting my eyes. You're right. I should have been honest. What were you two talking about? Just stuff. Friend stuff. Monica's Facebook posts suggest you've been talking about more than just friend stuff. Linda's head snapped up. You've been stalking Monica's Facebook? I've been trying to understand why my wife has been lying to me and sharing our private business with everyone in town. I haven't been sharing our private business. Haven't you? Because Monica seems to know an awful lot about our marriage. About how I'm supposedly holding you back, how you deserve better, how you're leveling up in every area of your life. Linda's face went pale again. Aaron, did you tell her about Derek? What about Derek? Did you tell Monica about your special friendship with Derek? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Jesus, Linda, how many people know about Derek? It's not what you think. What do I think? You think I told everyone about having feelings for Derek, but I didn't. I only talked to Monica about it, and only because I was confused and needed advice. What kind of advice? About what to do. About whether what I was feeling was normal, or if it meant something was wrong with our marriage. And what did Monica tell you? Linda was quiet for a long moment. She said that attraction to other people was normal, but that if I was feeling disconnected from you, maybe that was a sign that we weren't compatible anymore. Convenient advice from someone who's never liked me. Monica doesn't dislike you. Doesn't she? Because her Facebook posts suggest she thinks you'd be better off without me. She just wants me to be happy. And she doesn't think I make you happy. Linda didn't respond, which hurt more than if she'd argued with me. Linda, do you think I make you happy? Sometimes. Sometimes. Aaron, happiness isn't just about one person. It's about compatibility, shared goals, growing in the same direction. And you don't think we're growing in the same direction, are we? Because it feels like you want everything to stay the same forever, while I want to keep evolving and experiencing new things. Like Derek. Derek was never about replacing you. He was about, I don't know, feeling appreciated, feeling like someone saw potential in me. I see potential in you. Do you? Because most of the time it feels like you just want me to be the same person I was when we got married. I thought about that. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had been resistant to the changes in her life, the promotion, the new friends, the new interests. You're right, I said. I have been resistant to change. But that doesn't excuse lying to me or developing feelings for another man. I know, you're right. So where does that leave us? I don't know. The restaurant was starting to empty out, other couples finishing their dinners and heading home to their normal lives. I envied them their simplicity, their apparent lack of drama. Linda, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Okay. Do you want to save our marriage? She looked at me for a long moment, and I could see her wrestling with the answer. I want to save it, she said finally. That's not the same thing. I know. So what do you actually want? I want to feel excited about my life again. I want to feel like I'm growing and changing and becoming the person I'm supposed to be. And you can't do that with me. I don't know. Can I? It was an honest question, and it deserved an honest answer. I don't know either, I said. But I know I can't compete with the fantasy version of yourself that Monica and Derek have been selling you. It's not a fantasy, isn't it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been living in a bubble where you're the star of your own show, and everyone else is just supporting cast. That's not fair. Neither is lying to your husband about working late so you can have dinner with someone who's been encouraging you to leave him. Linda finished her wine and signaled for the check. I think we should go home and continue this conversation in private. I think you're right. But as we left the restaurant and drove home in separate cars, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were past the point of conversation. Some problems couldn't be talked through, they could only be resolved through action. And I was starting to think it was time for me to take some action of my own. The next morning, I woke up to find Linda already gone. Her car wasn't in the driveway, and there was no note, no text message explaining where she'd gone. It was Saturday, so she wasn't at work, at least not at her real job. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, thinking about our conversation at the restaurant. Linda wanted to feel excited about her life again. She wanted to grow and change. The problem was, she seemed to think those things required abandoning our marriage rather than working to improve it. My phone buzzed with a text from Frank. You free this morning? Need to talk to you about something. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Frank's office above the bar, listening to him explain what he'd discovered. So after you told me about Derek, I started asking around. Guy's got quite a reputation. What kind of reputation? The kind that involves married women. My bartender knows a guy who works at the gym where Derek used to train before he came here. Apparently, Derek's been fired from 3 different gyms in the past 2 years. For what? Inappropriate relationships with clients. Always the same pattern. Starts as professional training, becomes personal friendship, ends with broken marriages and angry husbands. I set down my coffee cup harder than I'd intended. You're saying this is what Derek does? He targets married women? That's what it looks like. And here's the thing that really bothers me. He always targets women who are going through some kind of transition. New job, new lifestyle, feeling disconnected from their husbands. He's like a shark who can smell vulnerability in the water. Does Linda know about his history? I doubt it. These guys are good at what they do. They make each woman feel special, like she's the only one who really understands them. I stood up and walked to the window overlooking Main Street. Below, people were going about their normal Saturday routines, grocery shopping, walking dogs, living uncomplicated lives. Frank, I need you to be straight with me. Do you think Linda's having an affair? I think Linda's being manipulated by a professional. Whether that's crossed into physical territory yet, I don't know. But Aaron, this guy's playbook is pretty predictable. First he becomes the sympathetic friend, then he starts undermining the husband, then he positions himself as the better alternative. And then he moves on to the next vulnerable married woman, leaving destruction in his wake. I turned back to face Frank. What do you think I should do? Honestly, I think you should hire a private investigator and get proof of what's really going on. Because if Derek's following his usual pattern, things are about to escalate. I can't afford a private investigator. Then you need to do some investigating yourself. But Aaron, be careful. If Derek realizes you're onto him, he might accelerate his timeline. What do you mean? I mean he might push Linda to make a decision sooner rather than later. These guys don't like complications, and a suspicious husband is definitely a complication. I drove home feeling like I was trapped in someone else's life. 6 months ago, my biggest worry was whether the Mustang's engine would be ready for spring. Now, I was contemplating spying on my own wife to see if she was having an affair with a professional homewrecker. Linda's car was in the driveway when I got home. I found her in the bedroom, packing a small overnight bag. Going somewhere? She looked up, startled. Oh, hi. I didn't hear you come in. Where are you going, Linda? Monica invited me to spend the weekend at her cabin. I thought it might be good for us to have some space to think. Some space to think? Or some space for Monica to convince you to leave me? Aaron, don't be paranoid. Am I being paranoid? Because it seems like every time you spend time with Monica, you come home more convinced that our marriage is a mistake. That's not true. Isn't it? Yesterday you told me you want to save our marriage. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement. Linda sat down on the bed, the overnight bag between us like a barrier. Aaron, I'm confused. I'm trying to figure out what I want, what's best for both of us. Monica's just trying to help me work through my feelings. Monica's trying to break up our marriage. There's a difference. Why would Monica want to break up our marriage? Because she's never liked me, and because she gets off on drama. Think about it, Linda. When has Monica ever given you advice that didn't involve creating conflict? Linda was quiet for a moment, probably thinking about Monica's track record with relationship advice. She's my friend, Aaron. She cares about me. Does she? Or does she care about being the center of attention in your personal drama? That's not fair. Maybe not. But I'll tell you what's definitely not fair. My wife packing a bag to spend the weekend with someone who's actively trying to convince her to leave me. I'm not leaving you. I'm just taking some time to think. At Monica's cabin, where she'll have 48 hours to fill your head with more poison about how you deserve better. Linda stood up and zipped the bag shut. I've made up my mind, Aaron. I need this weekend. Fine. But before you go, I want you to know something. What? I know about Derek's history. She froze. What history? The history of targeting married women. The history of getting fired from gyms for inappropriate relationships with clients. The history of being a professional homewrecker. Linda's face went white. That's not... Who told you that? Does it matter? What matters is that Derek isn't some innocent trainer who just happens to connect with you emotionally. He's a predator who targets vulnerable married women. Derek's not a predator. Isn't he? Think about it, Linda. How did your relationship with him develop? Did he gradually become more personal, more interested in your marriage, more critical of me? She didn't answer, but I could see the wheels turning in her head. Did he make you feel like you were special? Like you were the only client who really understood him? Aaron, stop. Did he tell you that you deserved better than a husband who didn't appreciate your ambition? Stop it. Because that's exactly what guys like Derek do, Linda. They find women who are going through transitions, who are feeling disconnected from their husbands, and they exploit those feelings. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Tell me honestly, when Derek talks about me, does he build me up or tear me down? Linda grabbed her bag and headed for the door. I'm not having this conversation. Because you know I'm right. She stopped in the doorway and turned back to face me. Even if Derek did say negative things about you, that doesn't mean his feelings for me aren't real. His feelings for you? I meant my feelings. My feelings aren't fake just because Derek might have ulterior motives. Linda, listen to yourself. You're defending a man who's been manipulating you, and you're doing it by admitting you have feelings for him. My feelings are complicated. No, they're not. You're married to me. That should make your feelings pretty straightforward. Marriage isn't that simple, Aaron. It is that simple. You're either committed to working on our relationship or you're not. You're either faithful to your husband or you're not. Linda stared at me for a long moment, and I could see something shifting in her expression. Maybe I'm not, she said quietly. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Maybe I'm not committed to working on our relationship. Maybe I'm not sure I want to be faithful to a husband who takes me for granted. Linda. No, Aaron. You want honesty? Here's honesty. I'm tired of feeling invisible in my own marriage. I'm tired of being married to someone who grunts at me when I try to share good news, who shows no interest in my goals or dreams, who seems perfectly content to live the same boring life forever. So you decided to find someone who would pay attention to you. Yes. I found someone who thinks I'm interesting, who wants to hear about my day, who sees potential in me. Someone who's using you. Maybe he is, but at least he's making me feel alive again. She walked out of the room, and a few minutes later I heard her car pulling out of the driveway. I sat on our bed, surrounded by the remnants of our life together. Photos on the nightstand, her jewelry box, the book she'd been reading. Everything looked the same, but everything had changed. Linda had essentially admitted to having an affair, even if it hadn't become physical yet. She'd chosen Derek and Monica over me, chosen drama and excitement over stability and commitment. But maybe that was okay. Maybe it was time for me to stop fighting for a marriage that only one of us wanted to save. Maybe it was time to start fighting for something else entirely. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I was looking for. The divorce attorney Rachel had used when we split up. I'd never thought I'd need that number, but life had a way of surprising you. But before I could dial, another idea occurred to me. A better idea. A more satisfying idea. If Derek wanted to play games with married women, maybe it was time someone played games with him. I put the phone down and walked to my computer. It was time to do some research of my own. Derek wanted to destroy my marriage? Fine. But I was going to make sure he paid a price for it. And I was going to make sure everyone knew exactly what kind of man he really was. The game was about to change, and this time, I was going to be the one writing the rules. Monday morning, I walked into Pete's garage with a plan and a flash drive full of information that would change everything. Over the weekend, while Linda was at Monica's cabin getting her head filled with more anti-marriage propaganda, I'd done my homework. Frank's bartender had connected me with Derek's former colleague at his previous gym. What I learned made my stomach turn, but it also gave me exactly what I needed. Derek's pattern was even more systematic than Frank had described. He kept detailed records of his conquests, photos, text messages, even recordings of phone conversations. Not for blackmail, but for his own twisted satisfaction. He was a collector of broken marriages, and Linda was just his latest acquisition. But Derek had made one crucial mistake. He'd been sloppy with his digital security. Pete, I need to borrow your computer again. Sure thing. Everything okay? It's about to be. I uploaded the contents of my flash drive to a new email account I'd created specifically for this purpose. Then I began crafting messages to everyone who needed to know the truth about Derek Matthews. The first email went to the owner of Derek's current gym, complete with documentation of his history at previous establishments and evidence of his inappropriate relationship with Linda. The second went to the local fitness certification board, with details about his violations of professional ethics. But the third email was my masterpiece. I sent it to Monica. Monica, I thought you should know about the man you've been encouraging my wife to pursue. Derek Matthews has been fired from 3 gyms for inappropriate relationships with married clients. He targets women going through transitions, manipulates their emotions, and destroys their marriages for sport. I have documentation proving all of this, including evidence that he's been recording private conversations with Linda without her consent. I thought someone who claims to care about Linda's well-being should know that she's being used by a professional predator. The choice of what to do with this information is yours, but Linda deserves to know the truth about the man she's risking her marriage for. I attached selected portions of Derek's digital files, enough to prove my point without violating anyone's privacy more than necessary. Then I sat back and waited. I didn't have to wait long. My phone rang at 10:30 a.m., Linda's name on the screen. Aaron, what did you do? Good morning, Linda. How was your weekend of reflection? What did you send to Monica? Just some information I thought she should have before giving you any more relationship advice. Derek called me. He's furious. He says you've been spreading lies about him. Have I? Which part was a lie, Linda? The part about him being fired from 3 previous jobs, or the part about him recording your conversations without permission? Silence. Linda? He said he only recorded conversations for quality assurance, to make sure he was giving me the best possible guidance. And you believe that? I don't know what to believe anymore. Here's what you should believe. Derek Matthews is a professional manipulator who targets vulnerable married women. You're not special to him, Linda. You're just another trophy in his collection. Monica showed me the files you sent her. And? Some of it looks bad. But Derek explained, Linda, stop. Just stop. Derek explained because he got caught. He's not going to admit that he's been using you. But he has feelings for me. Does he? Or does he just want you to think he does? I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line, probably sitting in her office, trying to process the collapse of her fantasy. Aaron, even if he's not what I thought he was, that doesn't fix our marriage. You're right, it doesn't. But at least now you can make decisions based on reality instead of manipulation. What do you want from me? I want you to come home. I want you to delete Derek's number from your phone. And I want you to decide whether you want to work on our marriage or end it. But I want you to make that decision without outside interference. And if I choose to end it, then we'll end it like adults, with lawyers and paperwork and division of assets, not with affairs and lies and public humiliation. Linda was quiet for a long moment. Monica says Derek's gym fired him this morning. Good. She also says you've destroyed his reputation in town. His reputation destroyed itself. I just made sure people knew the truth. Aaron, what you did? It was ruthless. Yes, it was. And I'm not sorry. I've never seen this side of you before. You've never given me a reason to show it before. Another long pause. I'm scared, she said finally. Of what? Of making the wrong choice. Of hurting you more than I already have. Of throwing away 10 years for something that was never real. Linda, I can't make this choice for you. But I can tell you that if you want to work on our marriage, I'm willing to try. If you want to end it, I'll survive. What I won't do is compete with fantasies and manipulators. Can you forgive me? For Derek? Maybe, eventually. For lying to me? That'll take time. For sharing my private photo with your friends? I honestly don't know. That's fair. Linda, I need to know something. What? Did you sleep with him? No. We kissed once after a training session last week, but that's all. Okay. Okay? I believe you. And I'm glad you told me the truth. What happens now? Now you decide what you want. But you decide based on reality, not on the lies Derek's been feeding you. I want to come home. Then come home. And then? And then we figure out if we can rebuild what we had, or if we need to start over with something new. Linda came home that evening carrying Chinese takeout, a peace offering, just like the Thai food from the week before. But this time felt different. This time she looked at me like she was seeing me clearly for the first time in months. Derek texted me, she said as we ate. He's leaving town. Good. He said you ruined his life. He ruined his own life. I just made sure everyone knew about it. Monica feels terrible. She says she had no idea what kind of person Derek really was. Monica should feel terrible. She was so busy trying to break up our marriage that she didn't bother to check whether the man she was pushing you toward was worth the destruction. Linda nodded, picking at her lo mein. I owe you an apology. You owe me several apologies. You're right. I'm sorry for sharing your photo. I'm sorry for lying about working late. I'm sorry for developing feelings for another man, and I'm sorry for letting other people influence me against you. Thank you. Do you think we can get past this? I looked at my wife, really looked at her. She was still beautiful, still the woman I'd fallen in love with. But she was also someone who had betrayed my trust and nearly destroyed our marriage for a fantasy. I think we can try, I said. But things are going to have to change. What kind of changes? No more sharing private messages or photos with friends. No more lying about where you're going or who you're with. And no more letting other people make decisions about our marriage. Agreed. And Linda, if you ever develop feelings for someone else again, you come to me first. Before you talk to Monica, before you do anything else, you talk to your husband. I will. I promise. Good. We finished dinner in comfortable silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. Outside, the Japanese maples were beginning to lose their leaves, preparing for winter, but they'd survived another season, grown a little stronger, adapted to whatever weather came their way. Maybe we could do the same. Maybe some things were worth fighting for after all. But as I watched Linda clean up the dishes, I realized something important. I wasn't the same man who'd discovered that photo in his garage a week ago. That man had been passive, accepting, willing to be the punchline of other people's jokes. This man was different. This man had teeth. And if anyone ever tried to manipulate my wife or destroy my marriage again, they'd discover just how sharp those teeth could be. The game had changed, and so had I. And I was perfectly fine with that.